Hey guys, so here we are with our making a Google Slides infographic tutorial. So the first thing I want to do is show you what I'm talking about by an infographic. So I just did a quick Google search on infographic and I really like this one. See how it's thinner and longer than a regular sheet of paper. I like all the icons that they use and the different size fonts that they use, and this is really easy to do in Google Slides. Okay, here's one that's a little bit simpler. It just has a title with an icon and has your different columns here and just little images. So if you notice, info is your information and the graphics are obviously the images that you see. Okay, and then here's another one. It's just all a matter of what shape and size that you want to create, but we're actually going to stick with the thinner and longer one. So I showed you a couple different styles. So we're going to go back to Google Slides and we're going to get started. So click on File and you're going to go down to Page Setup. Page Setup allows you to change the size of your Google slide. Okay, so what it will always be, your default is 16 by 9. And that's because it's like a widescreen TV. It's the display for your smartboard or for your Epson board. We're going to go to Custom and we're going to switch it to 8 by 20. It's a little long, well, it's probably about almost double the size of a sheet of paper, but now we have that look like we saw in the preview of the different infographics. So the first thing we're going to do is move the title up to the top. Okay, and then we're going to change the background color of the title. So if you click on the little fill color and you click on yellow, now it already looks like it's starting to have more graphics simply because I added color. The other thing I'm going to add is a border. So if I add a border to make it 3, when I click off it, it makes a nice border on the title. So now I have a background color and a border. So I'm going to add my first bit of information. And I'm going to start off with an arrow just because that kind of looks fun. So all you do is click and drag to create your arrow. Okay, so it's looking like it might get a little small because I want to put a 1 inside my arrow. So if you go over to your magnifying glass here, it says zoom. So I'm going to click on the drop-down menu and I'm going to zoom in 100%. This is a much easier vision for me to work with. So here we are with our arrow. I'm going to line it up with the title. And then I'm going to double click inside and I'm going to put a 1 because that's my first point. I'm actually going to make it a little smaller too so the 1 doesn't look so funny. If you want to change the font of the 1 inside, just double click and highlight and you can go up and change it to whatever font you want. I like shadows into light. I also like caveat, but whatever you want to create is fine. And I would change the size so it doesn't look so lost inside there. I'm actually going to change it back to shadows into light because the 1 might look like a T to some kids. Okay, and there's my first point. All right, so now I need a field to type in. So I'm going to go to Shapes. I just clicked on this little circle and square here, and then I'm going to add a square. Okay, so I'm adding a square. And this is where my information is going to go. I don't like that I have a gray and then another gray because I feel like my information needs to stand out differently. So I'm going to change that to that blue that you keep seeing in everything I do. And there I have a box. Here's another thing I don't like. See how the point is behind my square? I want to change the position of my square. So I'm going to 2-finger click on my trackpad. And I'm going to look at the order menu. And then I'm going to put send to back. Let's see. Now see how the arrow is on top of the box. Okay, I'm also going to extend the box a little bit so it reaches the end of this so it's a little bit more consistent. I'm going to add a border again so it's consistent. Last time I did 3-point font, so I'll stay with that. And here is my first bit of information. So this is just like the arrow. If you double click on it, you can type in it. But since the arrow is overlapping, we're going to have to hit tab first. And this is my first piece of information. And you can do the same thing that you did over here. You can highlight it. You can change the font color or the font type and the font size. I'm going to make this a little bigger so it looks like something. Now I have all this space over here. So I think I'm going to insert an image. So if I click on insert and I go down to image, I'm going to search the web. I love this because it opens this little sidebar and kids don't have to go into a new tab. So the reason that I don't like them to go into a new tab is because sometimes you fall down this Google search hole, and I don't want them to do that. I just want them to stay and focus on their infographic. So I'm going to put an information symbol. Perfect. I'm going to use one that will look nice with mine. Oh, this colors might look nice. If I click on it, the insert will come up. If you want more than one, you can click on two and it will insert both of them. You can also have the option to click and drag. When you're done, simply click on insert and it will create your images. Oh no, so they're really big. We're gonna have to size these and we're gonna move them. So all I did was I grabbed the corner. I try not to distort the image. I definitely did though. So, oh, it made them, here we go. And then we'll do this one. And I'm going to move these up a little bit higher. And as you can see, my infographic is starting to form. There's one. And I'll bring the other one up. I might leave this one this size just to give it a little bit of, maybe a little smaller, just a little bit of design. There you go. Okay, now say I want something to look exactly like this. I can highlight all of them, Control C, Control V. So now I have two of them. And then I can just click in here. Well, let me click out of that, sorry. I can just click in here and change the 1 to a 2 and go in here and change this to whatever I wanted to say. So your students don't have to continuously create these little icons or this format. They can copy and paste it, so it's a little bit easier. This is my second piece of information. Obviously, I want to change these. Oh, so now I have this in the background. So I'm going to 2-finger click on this. I'm going to go to order, bring to front, and maybe we'll move it up a little bit because as you can see, as my design grows, I might have to change some things to make it all work so you can see all the information. Okay, so for these purposes, we're going to keep this relatively simple. So I'm going to click on Insert and Table. And we're going to do a table like this. So if students want to add information that they found, and really any kind of information that they can add into here, and we'll change this a little bit so it kind of, we'll change this a little bit so it is a little more like what we have so far. Maybe we'll do a lighter fill color because you have to be able to read on top, and we'll stretch it out to the same size. And now they can add maybe vocab, definition, something like that. And that's an easy way for them to organize their content. Okay. Another thing that we can maybe add is just an image to make it a little more of the graphic portion. So maybe what I'll do is move this down a little bit. I'll go back to insert, image, search the web, and for my vocab section, I'm going to start it off with a dictionary. And I'm going to hit dictionary clip art because it's kind of cartoony looking. And I'm going to put that right in here. And just move it up, make it a little bit smaller, and move this down. And we're all set. So obviously I created a very generic infographic. There's nothing really exciting in here. However, this has infinite possibilities. I've done this with my students. We read Jonathan Kozel's Savage Inequalities, and they outlined the percentages, and they added specific quotations in order to support their evidence. And they could even have, this is my piece of information, and then maybe they would add a call out, and maybe they would put their quotation in here. So maybe they would move everything down and then have their speech bubbles come off with quotations from the text. Another thing that I make sure, with an infographic, obviously it's going to be research based. So what I would do for my students is I would make them at the bottom put all the links, like the references that they used. So they would put links that they cited, or links that they used in their research, to keep them good citizens and to keep digital citizenship in the back of their minds. So you can use this for anything so much. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, please, again, feel free to email me, and I would love to help you with any tech integration. And hopefully you'll be able to make infographics with your students. They print out really nice. When you hang them on the wall, students get such a sense of pride, or if you post them to your website, students really feel like they accomplished something. And again, when you publish them on your website, other people can use them. So maybe even you could go here, use your infographic from, say, I don't know, Algebra 2, where students are teaching a concept from Algebra 1, or Algebra 2, one class going to another Algebra 2 class, and they could critique them and see what was right, what was wrong. Maybe British Lit, one analysis piece of one analysis infographic, then another analysis infographic, and see how the two compare. You really can turn this into a lot of different activities in your classroom. So hopefully you'll be able to use this. And like I said, please reach out if you need any support.